Thank you, Gustavo, for joining today with us at EJable. I'm very happy to hear your story and for you to share about your experience here in Japan. And I'm sure our viewers will also have a lot to learn from your experience. So could you begin by giving us a little bit of your introduction?
Sure. Well, thank you for receiving me. I'm Gustavo. I'm from Brazil. I have studied all my life in Brazil. I spent 1 year in Korea also studying there. Then I came back to Brazil, finished my studies, and came to Japan right after. Joined the IT field. While I was in Brazil, I started working there in IT, and I just continued working when I after moved here.
Okay, amazing. Then can I ask why you chose to come to Japan to work in the IT and your first interaction with Japan in itself?
My first interaction was during my studies when I was in South Korea in the exchange program. I visited Japan, and then that was a place like I liked a lot, and I watched animes when I was a kid, of course. I think most of us did.
Yeah.
And so I always had like this, I want to know Japan, I want to go there someday. And I met that dream during that trip back then. And I didn't exactly choose Japan to come to work for. It was more it was a lot of a coincidence at the time because a friend of mine, he saw a job opening on a website, and was talking to the chart group at the time, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna send me the link. I'm gonna try to send them my resume. And as the interview flowed during the company process, everything went well and much better than I expected. But in the end, they said they accepted me. They said they would love to have me here working with them, and that's how I came to Japan.
Wow. Okay. So it was totally a coincidence, and basically you just took the chance and sending emails to landing.
I sent one email for them. Like it was not. I didn't send emails to other companies at the moment. It just happened that I had a very specific skill that they needed, and they couldn't find in Japan that easily. So.
Wow, that's a big coincidence. Then before coming to Japan, did you have any like Japanese language skill?
Yes, I studied a little bit of Japanese when I was in Brazil.
Ah, okay, amazing.
I had to stop when I joined university, so it was I did a couple of years actually of Japanese, but my Japanese never got to the entry level. It's more closer to the N4 level.
Okay.
Something like that.
I see. Do you feel that coming from abroad and working here in Japan, would you say to those who are looking to work in Japan, would you give them advice to learn Japanese a little bit beforehand?
Definitely, because it helps a lot, especially on the daily life. Like when you go to the supermarket, if you can at least read something, it already helps, right? And so knowing at least the basic kanjis and the hiragana and katakana, yes, I would suggest.
Okay. And in your workplace now, is it mandatory for you to speak Japanese, or do you do most of your work in English?
I do all of my work in English, and we're not required to speak Japanese at any level.
Okay, amazing. So I assume there's a lot of like international workers in your working environment.
There are. Actually, in my team, we don't have a lot of Japanese people in my team. We have a lot of Japanese throughout the company, but all of them have to speak English. So they all can speak English. The English is the language of the company. It was founded by some foreigners that live in Japan. So that's why English is a very big culture.
I see. Okay. Then I guess during your work, you are not too, how do you say, exposed to the typical traditional Japanese working culture. But was there something that you had to adapt to or kind of like learn to work in Japan over the past 3 years of you being here in Japan?
Well, yeah, especially because I've been to some companies that are very Japanese-like companies.
Okay.
And well, there is the working style that you usually have to put in a few extra hours.
Mhm.
That goes like they're not gonna tell you that, but it goes
Mhm.
without saying like you're gonna have a work enough to stay a few hours late,
Mhm.
and it's always well seen by the upper management,
Right.
and they usually they also encourage you to stay at the office because they usually do a few things after, like they do like an omikai, or
Um,
they just get some food and do something with the people that are at the office at the time, right? So that's one of
mhm.
the biggest things that I had to change.
Right.
Yeah.
Is it something that you had difficulties, or is it something that it went okay as you like kind of how do I say, spent your time learning about the Japanese working culture?
It was mostly okay. Like I was expecting some kind of shock in how people works differently, right? But
Mhm.
it's in the end, it's not like totally different. Like in the end, everybody like gets into working time and tries to leave it work at the normal time as well.
Mhm. Right. Then in terms of like the project executing styles, do you see anything different from working in a Brazilian company to working in a Japanese company?
It's hard to say Brazilian and Japanese company because from my experience, like even within Japan, we have a lot of different processes going on,
Mm-hmm.
and it's very hard to analyze between the two countries because
Mm-hmm.
in Brazil you're gonna have some companies that are very organized and some
Mm-hmm.
that are not, and the same goes in Japan. Like
Right.
one of the companies I worked at, they were not the best organizers, and the projects were usually a little bit late.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
I had the same experience in Brazil, so I have experience with better companies. They are very organized and everything goes like flawlessly.
Mm-hmm.
I think it really depends on the person, not the
Right.
country.
Okay. Then can I ask what you like about your current position at Money Tree?
Yeah, sure. Well, they're very flexible, and they kind of treat you very well as well, the
Mm-hmm.
employee. So I really like that. They offer some very strong benefits, such as 20 paid days leave and 10 sick days a year.
Mm-hmm.
So that comes out of the box. So it's very different from traditional Japanese companies where you start with 10 and go working your way up, and
Yeah.
usually we don't get sick leaves.
Mm-hmm.
So they do an extra care for the employee, which is good. They do not encourage overtime, which is also
Nice.
very good. So as long as you finish your workload
Mm-hmm.
and it's time, they don't see why you have to stay more. Just go back home.
Mm-hmm. Is it a hybrid working style that you have?
It's fully remote. The company is also
Ah,
remote first, so
oh,
they
okay.
don't care about where you are in Japan as long as you are in Japan.
Uh-huh. Oh, wow. Okay. How do you like working remote, especially in Japan? Because I feel some pros are that you don't have to go through this rush hour during the morning or in the evening on these trains. But also, I feel working remotely myself, I do miss a bit of the human connections. Is it something that you feel or not at all?
I mean, like the human connection, I feel a little bit,
Mhm.
maybe not the same intensity because I would be all down for a hybrid workplace where
Mhm.
we would have like one or two, at most 2 days, please, to interact with people and
Mhm.
to have these social skills, like the social part of the work done.
Mhm.
But I really like the remote work, especially because of the pros you mentioned. That we don't need to get the rush train and like
Right.
commuting, taking like over 1 hour to commute to the place.
Mhm.
Because surprisingly enough, it doesn't matter where you live in Tokyo, it's going to take at least 30 minutes to get from one place to another.
Mhm. Fair enough. Yeah. Okay, then moving on to like the advice you may have for people who are having interviews with a Japanese company that's, it could be both very traditional or very, how do you say, worldwide, I guess, more diversified. Do you have any tips or advice on how they should, I don't know, put themselves as during the interview, or anything you could give advice on?
Well, I can only give advice on what I usually do in my own interviews, and what I usually do is like being completely honest to them. If I don't know something, I tell them straight away I don't know that.
Right.
That's and also like the eagerness to learn new things, and say things that you can prove, that you can show that you really know. Don't
Okay.
try to show off to them, because most of the time they might get back at you. Like,
Right. Okay, so honesty
yeah,
in
I
interviews.
think that
Okay,
would be the greatest.
great. Thank you for that advice. Then moving on to the social outside of work aspect of living in Japan. And since you are working remotely full time, what do you like to do in your free time?
Well, now I'm trying to go to the gym more often. I probably should be more strict to myself because I'm failing miserably. And well, like I like to watch some Netflix and play some video games. Just like go for like nearby places, nearby parks, and take a walk there. That's also pretty good. On the weekends, some weekends, sometimes I go hiking as well.
Oh, nice. Amazing. Which mountain have you been that you like the most hiking?
I mean, there are a few mountains. The hiking itself is pretty much like, doesn't change that much, right? It's climbing a mountain.
Right.
But I mean, like there are some places that are especially beautiful during the sakura season, the cherry blossoms.
Right.
That there's like when I was living in the countryside, there's this Daikai Yama Park that I've been there. It's not exactly a super hike, but it takes a few minutes of like going up the mountain. But at the top, like there are several cherry trees, and like the park is very extensive, so it's pretty cool to walk there. And at the base, there's an amazing ramen place there that I really like. So,
oh, nice. I should try going, maybe. Then, is it some people that I've had talk with through these interviews, they tell me that making friends in general in Japan, especially with the Japanese local people, is hard as a foreigner. Is it something that you feel, or have you already found your community and like your friends quite easily?
most of my friends are foreign people. There is kind of like a stigma, I think, for having Japanese friends. I suppose it's very hard because the Japanese are very open to get to know you. But there is a very clear line of separation between getting to know you and being your friend. So it's very difficult to cross that line. They are very eager to know you, but it's very difficult for them to want to really be your friend. If you find a more somebody who can speak English, it's way easier. That's for sure.
Okay.
But especially for Japanese that not speak English, it's very hard to cross that line.
Yeah, for sure. With the especially with the language barrier, I can imagine how that's hard. Yeah. Do you have any tips on how you can find your like friends or be connected to more of a foreign, how to say, people in Japan?
Well, in my case, I reached out to some Brazilian communities. I made some friends there. I met people just going out, and there's meetups, so you can do meetups. I met some amazing people there.
Right.
But some of my best friends are people that I worked with before. So we crossed paths in work. Like we just like got that synergy going on. Like okay, and then we continued talking after they left work or after I left the companies, and we became friends, and we talk until then.
Oh, okay.
It's very hard, but like if you just want to meet people, meetups are the best too. Just meet a lot of people open to getting to know a lot of strangers.
Okay, and you find these meetups like through an online platform, I assume?
Yes, and the platform is called Meetup as well.
Oh, okay, amazing. Great. Then what aspects of Japan or Japanese culture do you like or do you not like?
Well, about the Japanese culture, I like the fact the Japanese society itself. I like the fact that it's very safe. It's very chill. Like you can walk here without being afraid of anything. You can just like look at your phone anywhere. Like you can actually like open your wallet anywhere. Nobody's gonna
Right.
bat an eye or even try to steal it from you.
Yeah.
Very different from a few places, and that's something that I like. Something that I don't like is that usually, like most of the time, people are very methodic. They're very bent on one way of doing things, and they're very reluctant to change that way.
Oh.
So I saw that, like especially in Japanese companies, like more traditional companies, they have their way of doing things, and they are very strict on changing their ways, and they're very reluctant to do so, to try out new things and different things.
Oh, yeah, I could imagine. Okay. Oh, okay, I see. Yeah, I would not like being in such companies either.
And Japan was the first place I saw a fax machine working, so that's also not a good thing, I suppose.
Right. Okay. Then what can do you currently live in Tokyo?
Yes, I currently live in Tokyo.
Okay. Do you like how busy it is in Tokyo? And it is a like small metropolitan with a large population. And in the summer, everywhere you go, like in trains, it could be really hot and humid and just really, yeah, really hot and uncomfortable for me personally. Do you mind the busyness and how hot it is during the summer and just the atmosphere of the Tokyo in itself?
During summer, it's not pleasant, I gotta say. It's very humid indeed. But I like the Tokyo atmosphere because you can find pretty much anything here.
That's true.
So if you want to try something new, you can probably find it in Tokyo. If there's anything from another country that you want to try or do, you can probably find something in Tokyo that's very close to what you're looking for. So that's an aspect. It's alive, so there's a lot of people. Like depending on where you go, you can meet a lot of people. But yeah, the weather is not the best in summer.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Okay, then moving on to my last tip. Do you have any general advice for those who are looking for work in the IT field in Japan, or who will be coming to Japan to work in Japan?
Well, if you're already coming to Japan, good luck. I think that's all. You're already coming to work, so there's not much else to advise. If you're planning to do so, like look at companies, look at LinkedIn, recruiters. They know a lot of companies, so they can help you find something. Might be not the best for you, but it's gonna be something to get you started.
Right.
Right.
Yes. Great. Thank you for those advice, and thank you for your time today. It was great to have this talk with you. And yeah, thank you and good luck for your future in Japan as well.
Thank you. Thank you very much.